Well, welcome everybody to a new episode of People in Politics here on the Metropolis channel. Today we're here with Mayor Chase Ritenauer of the City of Lorain. Mayor, thanks for coming on board.
Thanks for having me, Bobby.
Thanks. Do you mind if I call you Chase?
Chase is absolutely fine.
Okay, great, great. Well, we're happy that you're coming onto the channel today, and we're very interested to learn a lot about your background and how you became mayor. You're very young, and the City of Lorain is, what, about 60,000 people?
Yeah, about 64,000.
Okay, great. Well, tell us a little bit about your background.
You say I'm young. I've been in office 3 years, and
Wow.
People say I'm young quite a bit when I run into them, and I say you should see what I looked like 3 years ago. I was a lot younger than just 3, but nonetheless, my background. I went to Lorain County Community College. I did a couple years there while I was in high school, and then Heidelberg University, the University of Akron. When I graduated, I came back to work for the City of Lorain. I also taught a little bit part-time at Akron, Notre Dame College, and Heidelberg as well.
What did you teach there?
I taught political science, American government, some public administration, those types of courses. So fitting in with what I do on a daily basis. So did that. I worked for the City of Lorain, more so on the budget side of things, utilities, engineering, oversight of those departments, and then it was in 2010 I became the Safety Service Director for the City of North Olmsted. So
wow.
About half the size of Lorain, but it included police, fire, service, parks, forestry, those kinds of things. And it was in late 2010 that I decided, after seeing sort of how things were going in the City of Lorain, I'm not one who likes to sort of be the armchair quarterback and say, well, I would do that differently, I'd do that differently. Instead, I wanted to make an impact and make a change in my hometown. And end of 2010 into 2011, I decided to run for mayor,
Wow.
taking sort of the background that I was able to garner in Lorain and North Olmsted in administration, and talking about how that experience would benefit me as mayor and some of the goals that I had.
Wow, that's great. Now, when you decided to run for mayor, how old were you when you did that?
Oh, geez, it seems like I would have been 26 years old when I decided to run for mayor.
Okay, so
freshly minted 26 years old, yeah.
So I've been in politics too, at a very young age, and it's difficult, and you have to prove to everybody that age is basically just a number. And you were obviously successful in doing so because you were elected mayor, but did you feel that there was some adversity towards your age in running for mayor, or did you feel like a lot of people just kind of took to it as kind of a young, ambitious guy who wants to come in and shake things up?
Initially, I'd been involved in politics on the city level, county level for quite some time. But, when I decided to run, that was a big issue. I didn't know how it would play out. But attending events, meeting people, what I've found is a lot of times the older the voter, the more they were open to me being younger, which
wow.
I didn't quite get. But as I talked to and met people, their view was, look, when we were your age, we had a family already, we were working, we need young blood, we're tired of the same old, same old. So that history seemed to help me with older voters. Younger voters liked me because they could relate to me. I found that, voters my parents' age, those were the voters that I really had to sell because, hey, you're 26 years old. What do you know about running a city? What are your life experiences? Those types of things. So I found that middle generation to be the challenging generation for me to be able to convince. But we worked hard. I mean, the campaign was out and about. I was out almost every day of the campaign doing some type of campaigning, meeting people, whether it be in neighborhoods or at events. And it was a lot of hard work. But ultimately, we were able to, I think, convey a message and articulate where we wanted to take the city, and that's why I'm here with you today.
No, and that's great, and obviously you're very successful in doing so. Now, when's your term up? Do you have one more year left on this first term?
My term would expire at the end of next year, so I would have to file for re-election by February of next year.
Okay, all right, great. That's any announcements now? Are you gonna? Do you think you're gonna be doing it?
When I ran, I said, I'm going to govern, the heck out of the 4 years I have, and we'll assess when that's done. And I tried to make decisions based on what I felt is right for the city, not necessarily based upon which way the political winds are blowing. And, ultimately, you know, I like what I'm doing. I like what we're doing. I think we're moving things forward. Do I want to be mayor forever? Absolutely not. I mean, I've got a lot of things in my life that I'd like to do politically and non-politically. So we'll see. I mean, I'm leaning toward doing it again. I think we're on the pathway to getting to where we need to be. We're out of fiscal watch, which we'd been in for a decade.
Congratulations on that. That was big news around the state.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate that.
Because that actually happened, you know, coming out of what everybody called the Great Recession, and you were able to do it fairly quickly in the beginning of your administration or partway through it. So that was big news.
No, I appreciate that. That took a lot of effort and a lot of work by a lot of people, but we're able to do that. Investments in infrastructure, roadways, you know, focusing on our neighborhoods and the housing stock, as well as getting rid of some of the obstacles that have held us back for a long time on our waterfront. So we've focused a lot on these. They're not the bright and shiny issues necessarily.
Sure.
I think new roads are to an extent, but the things that a city needs to be able to do, we've really focused on. And I think, you know, my second term would be really cementing those accomplishments, expanding upon them, but also trying to take us to the next level as it relates to investment and development in the city. So it's exciting.
Those are the exciting issues to deal with. Yeah, the first term was really nitty-gritty type work to get the city back on track, but you know, hopefully your second term will. Those are fun issues to get development and help with jobs and new things developing in Lorain. Those will be exciting for you. Yeah. And that's what it seems like with a lot of people that we talk with on the show, whether it's on the congressional side or Mayor DeGeeter, who's been on, or people I've dealt with before. It seems like that you know, usually a second term, that's where a lot of the fun stuff comes into play.
Yes. We'll see. You know, I mean, it goes by fast.
Good.
And trying to, I think we've gotten a lot of things done in a short amount of time, but the challenge is to keep up at that clip and to continue to be able to achieve successes. And we've got a long way to go. We've come a long way, but we're not going to rest on our laurels. We know there's a lot more to do. Good.
Now, do you have a lot of family in Lorain? Your mom and dad still live there?
Oh, yeah. Family, pretty large family, especially my father's side. Most all of them are still in Lorain. On my mother's side, they're sort of scattered around. But both mom and dad still live in the city, as well as a lot of cousins, a lot of aunts and uncles.
Sisters?
I have two sisters, and my older sister, I'm the oldest, but the older of the two.
Yeah.
She lives in Columbus. She is actually a special needs teacher in the Columbus area.
Great.
And then my other sister, she's 18. She's just graduated high school. So
good for her.
We're looking at that part, you know, the next part of her life. So
that's great.
She lives in Lorain.
That's great. Now, I know one of your bigger hobbies is you're a Bruce Springsteen enthusiast, right?
Oh, I am.
Now, do they play this song when you walk into the city council chambers and you walk in and now they play Bruce Springsteen every time you walk in? Does that happen there at all?
You know,
because everybody knows how big of a Bruce Springsteen fan you are.
I reference him quite often. I quote him quite often in speeches. I try to give him credit when I use him in quotes, but sometimes I'll say something. I go, well, that's a Bruce Springsteen lyric. I hope he, you know, but. No, I'm a huge Bruce Springsteen fan. I've seen him live 27 times.
Wow.
But a lot of other people have way more on me than that. But I look at it as I'm 29 years old. I've seen him 27 times. I hope to see him more times than I'm of years old, and I ultimately hope to get him to Lorain sometime.
Now, have you ever met him before?
I've come close. He's been like right next to me. We've exchanged words, but you know, the picture, any type of longer discussion, not so much. But I've been in close proximity to him.
That's good. That's good.
I just, you know, he's a guy who, you know, his music speaks to Lorain. I mean, he's got a song called Youngstown. I mean, he gets the challenges. His music conveys that cities like Lorain have gone through. He gets sort of, I mean, he writes music for the times, and one of his most recent albums talks about the recession, talks about how we got into it, the problems with it. I mean, you hear a song, it's like you're thinking about a neighborhood in Lorain, or you're thinking about, you know, something that happened with the steel industry back in the 70s in the city of Lorain. So his music hits home. He's an original musician. He writes his own stuff. He plays his own stuff. There's no phoniness about him. There's no lip singing about him, you know, and certain things. I mean, he is as true as it gets. So his concerts, 3.5-hour marathon is what they are, and he goes the whole way.
And you go all over the country.
I go all over to see the guy.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
and no,
great.
my mom thinks I'm nuts. You know, you saw him once. Isn't it the same? It's never the same. It's always different. There's always different songs, different.
Wow.
Every show is unique, but that's sort of his mentality of the 3.5-hour show. The guy's 64 years old.
Is he really?
Wow. Oh, it's unbelievable. I can't even, if I'm in that shape at 64.
Yeah, that's sign up
that's
right
a goal
now.
of mine. Yeah, I'd gladly sign that. But you know, the grit and the grind that he goes through in his concerts and the effort he puts in, I think, goes with his music, goes with sort of Lorain's story.
Yeah.
In a way,
No wonder why you can relate
yeah.
well to it. Yeah.
We're a city that doesn't quit. We've been dealt a lot of tough times.
I like that.
We're resilient. We are resilient.
That's
our
great.
People are unbelievable, and just keep fighting the good fight.
That's great. That's great. Now, tell me a little bit about, I mean, you do a lot of work. It was a lot of work to obviously get off of, what was it, fiscal emergency. So you have a lot of things to do at the office. What do you do for fun, other than going to Bruce Springsteen
Other than Bruce
concerts?
Springsteen, Bruce is a lot of, you know, when he is like a mandatory, like when he announces a concert tour, I look
there.
and I'm like, I can do that one, I can do. He needs to announce it ahead of time. You know, if he ever listens to this, you know, the sooner the better, because then I can plan ahead.
Yeah.
But you know, Bruce, I certainly go. I go all over to see him. I'm a big sports fan.
Okay.
Football, my uncle and a couple of us split a season ticket package, so I see 2-3 Browns games a year minimum.
That's great.
So do that. Stand-up comedy, I like going to Cleveland to see that. I'm a big Chicago Cubs fan.
Oh, wow,
I'm
great.
a Chicago fan too. I just love the town. So
Yeah, it is a good town.
I'll get there. It's good because it's, you know, 5.5-hour drive or so, but a quick flight. So I get to Chicago a couple times a year, hopefully. Like to golf, like to work out.
So you do a lot.
I do a lot. I think, you know, for me anyway, you know, being a mayor, you know, there's that element, but there's also the other side, and to stay, you know, physically active, to keep the mind sharp, the body sharp, the spirit sharp. I think all those things are really important. I teach part-time still, too, for Lorain County Community College.
Do you sleep ever, or no? I mean, like, is it just 1 or 2 hours a night?
When I hit the bed, it's almost instantaneous. I'm out.
Yeah,
it's done.
so.
It's done. But no, I have a great life.
Great.
I am fortunate enough at this juncture to be able to do a lot of things, to be able to have a lot of experiences. The honor and privilege it is to be the mayor, that the people entrusted me to, you know, bring the city along, to move it along, to improve it. It's a great honor, and you know, just all the other things I'm able to do. You know, I have a girlfriend she's put up with me for over a couple years now, which yeah, I don't know where I'd be without her, because it's not an easy life to put up with, and I'm not an easy person to put up with necessarily.
But, I don't know, not about an easy person. You're pretty easy to get along with, but the lifestyle might be difficult.
Right. But she's been great. She's great. So we have a good time together. I have a lot of the same hobbies and great family.
So she doesn't sleep either, then, huh?
Well, yeah. It's. I tell you, our lifestyles. People look at us and say, "You're always on the go." My neighbors, you know, you're always moving. Well. It's what I signed up for, you know.
And you gotta do it.
When I don't want to do it anymore, you know, I won't. But you know,
That's
as long
great.
as I think I've got something to offer, I will.
Great. Now, the one question that I usually like to ask a lot of my guests is, because this kind of gives a little insight in how you govern and how you would portray yourself out in the public. Who would be your favorite U.S. president?
My favorite U.S. president, I would say. There's so many that I like. There really are. You know, if we're going to go a recent example, I'd say President Clinton.
Okay.
Just simply because, in terms of, you know, I was in third grade when he was elected. Mm-hmm. So I have the most memory. And obviously FDR, Teddy Roosevelt, looking back at Lincoln and what he was able to accomplish, I tend to gravitate toward presidents who can try to make things happen amongst different parties, different ideologies. In my position as a chief executive, I don't get to get 100% of what I want all the time. And presidents who get that, who can work across party lines and try to look at doing what's in the best interests of the populace, I've got a lot of respect for. I see Bill Clinton in that mold. Heck, even if we were to go to the other side, George H.W. Bush was able to get some things done in that regard. Sure. Heck, even Nixon, in a way, continuing on some of what was going on in the Johnson years and the Kennedy years. So I think our politics has become so polarized, and I don't necessarily blame the president entirely for that, But looking back in history, you saw these presidents who were able to bring together coalitions to get things done, whether it was civil rights, was the end of slavery, there was budget agreements to try to stabilize the federal budget and the federal debt. But I'd say of a contemporary example, it'd be President Clinton. He seemed to be able to bring people into the fold to get things done for the betterment of the country as opposed to a partisan agenda.
Well, I think you really hit on it too. The politics, the government in general right now, it is polarizing, and that's the reason why I created this People in Politics series, is so people can actually, the general public can actually get a chance to see who the public officials are as people rather than just what they vote for or what they hear on negative media or what else is out there. So I think it's very important that that we keep this moving forward, because it is polarizing, and if we could change it one step at a time, then we want to do that. But I really appreciate you coming on the show. I hope that everybody had a chance to learn a little bit about the mayor, and we'll hope to have you on again here very soon.
No, and keep doing your show, because I've watched episodes of it, and whether it's Mayor DeGeeter from Parma, Congressman Renacci, Congressman Joyce, myself, it's interesting as people are talked to like they're actual human beings, and the commonalities we all have in terms of what we want to see done in our community, our city, our county, our state. Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, Social, whatever. On this show, you've seen how people there is common ground out there, and I think it's contingent upon all of us trying to do our small part to bring everybody together to say what is in the best interest of the people. No party affiliation, no urban versus rural. What's in the best interest of the people, and let's try to get something accomplished. Because right now that seems to have gotten lost by a lot of people.
I agree, and I hope that this show takes a step in the right direction with it. So I appreciate you coming on board.
Thanks for having me.
Bruce, I'm talking to you now. Come over to Lorain and meet the mayor.
Come on over.
He's your #1 fan here, so come meet the mayor. But thank you, guys. We really appreciate you tuning in, and we hope to see you next time we have an episode on People in Politics. Thank you very much.